Resident Evil. Because it was just like the video game.
What the hell?
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. My name is Leo. We got an awesome episode of the Dorkening today. We're going to be talking about Ghostbusters, spoilers, also Hawkeye, and a bunch of other stuff. And as always, well, not as always, when he feels like it, Brandon, how's it going?
When he feels like it. Wow. Okay.
When you're up for it, my friend.
When I'm up for it. Sure. Yes, that's me, the fly-by-night member of the Dorkening. Go fuck yourself, Leo. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. And I hope you're all looking forward to a fantastic Thanksgiving tomorrow.
Totally. Happy Turkey Day. Steven!
Hello, everyone. Also, to piggyback with Brandon, happy early Turkey Day to
I thought you were going to say go fuck yourself, Leo.
That'll be later.
I was waiting for that, too.
That'll be later.
That was coming,
depending on how much you guys gang up on me, that'll be later.
Well, I mean, if it means that anything I say to you results in you telling Leo to go fuck himself, I will double down, buddy.
RW.
Hey, what's up, people? How are you? Happy Thanksgiving Day early.
And you're not going to tell me to go fuck myself either?
No, because I like being here.
How about Chris? You going to tell me to fuck myself?
You know, the fact that you're thinking so hard about it is really telling.
No, I got no beef with Leo.
Awesome.
Not today, anyway. By the way,
Chris, you look familiar.
I got to tell you, man, that hat is for the birds.
Some people just gobble it up, though, really.
Who said I was familiar? I know everyone here but Brandon.
Yeah, I'm usually here. That's why this is like my own personal little phantom zone. Like, forgive me. That whole deal.
I never understood the Phantom Zone between Supergirl and Superman, because in the Superman universe, it's just a square and they're literally trapped in it. But in Supergirl, there's an old man going squirt, squirt, squirt.
Well, I mean, you could argue that the writers of Supergirl didn't get it either.
By the way, I said this to Helen Slater when I met her, because she was like, "What was your favorite part of Supergirl?" And I said, "Oh, when you were trapped in the Phantom Zone with Peter O'Toole and things were crazy and you were filthy. I mean, the costume never looked better." And she's like, "That was the worst day of shooting of my life." And I was like, "But it was the hottest part of Supergirl in the entire movie."
Yikes.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate with that one, huh? The hottest part of Supergirl. Hi, Miss Slater. Let me tell you about how I've objectified you since I was 7.
No, I told her I hated a lot of the movie of, like, the two truckers who come along. What's his name? Max Headroom and the other one.
Matt Frewer? That man's name deserves to be mentioned, damn it.
Except for when he's playing a rapist in Supergirl.
Nah, even then. Especially then.
Well,
The
speaking of
mistakes he's
Supergirl,
made. Yes, speaking of.
Hey, it finally ended. Yay! The worst show on the CW is finally over.
so I what was the big hubbub about Flash this episode?
Oh, they do it's a crossover. It's the big crossover event with Batwoman, Luke, Black Lightning. So basically they're literally trying to save the shows on the CW. I'm not even joking. You look at the ratings of these shows they're crossing over with, it's like Marvel doing crossovers with books they're about to cancel, because there is no crossover with Stargirl or Superman, which are their two highest, biggest shows on the CW.
Because they're both excellent shows.
Yes, Superman has like
a
1 million view rating.
Stargirl is like
streaming online. The DVD and Blu-rays have been selling. Stargirl has had excellent ratings almost every episode,
and it's surprisingly really good too.
But
like
Batwoman and Black Lightning, I love Black Lightning, but it is on life support, and Batwoman is a fucking mess.
It's funny you say this, Chris, because literally last week during the episode of The Flash that was on, I made it maybe 15 minutes into the episode, and I shut it off, and I turned to my wife and said, "I'm done. I'm not watching this show anymore."
Yeah,
like
I love Black Lightning.
I reached my wit's end,
but it's on bad life support, and Batwoman is just like anything that sticks. People bring back the other Batwoman. Oh, we're gonna do Poison Ivy. We're gonna do Killer Croc, but we're gonna put all of the show's budget into making Killer Croc look better than he did in the movie.
Well, actually, the last show one of you was saying something about, you didn't really dig the Batgirl or the Batwoman or whatever that much, anyways, or whatever too. So yeah, I remember you guys were talking about that.
Yeah, I mean I think for me it might have been I just don't like Ruby Rose, like generally speaking.
Right? Yeah,
I mean,
I don't think she's a good actress. So like,
right. And I think it was you were talking about, but I don't really watch the CW shows because to me it's like watching As the World Turns, but with superheroes, because it's so soap opera-y, and I've never liked the like go to commercial thing where somebody goes, like, so Steve's dead, but then suddenly he's back and everybody goes, Steve.
Well, I think,
and then they cut to commercial, and like it's like this. So I don't know. I don't get it.
You know what? I agree with RW. I haven't gotten into the CW shows either.
Well,
there's other shows I'm getting into. So
I think that's why Stargirl and Superman are succeeding.
Yeah, because they don't follow that exactly.
Yeah, they are the most CW shows.
Right, but they do point out they are in the universe when they had John Diggle show up, and he's still part of Argus, and he mentions, by the way, I don't want anything to do with green rings or whatever. Mentioning the Green Lantern ring. So
that's where he and I agree. I also do not want him to do anything having to do with green rings.
Right. So I'm totally fine with Superman just wants a quick little drop of being like, hey, Gotham, okay, let's move on and do our own thing for this season. And hopefully we can recover some of the watered down, crappy villains that were on Supergirl, like Metallo or something, or Silver Banshee, and bring them over to Superman.
Well, see, that's the good thing about the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover having taken place, because they can get away with tweaking some of those villains that had previously been used for Supergirl, because she has literally like no rogues gallery of her own. And they can be
No.
it can literally be like, this is what the villain is like in that universe, because it was all reset from Crisis. So
Right. I mean, Supergirl basically had washed up, movie only villains like Miss Tessmacher and Otis show up on Supergirl, and you're like, wow, Supergirl really has nobody to fight. And I'm like, I flipped through on the Hoopla digital app, which is a library app to read comics for free for your library, and Supergirl during the rebirth, and it's like she is fighting nobody that is not a Superman villain. Like, holy crap. Like, they at least give Tara McGinnis brand new villains. They don't give Supergirl anything to work with.
yeah, it's true. I mean,
So it's like on this podcast right now, somebody thinks of something and somebody interrupts them and they're like, oh no, this, that. But if you watch a CW show, and I get it as an actor and as a writer, it's hard to like edit when people are talking over each other. But it's like watching Law and Order SUV. The first person says their line, they're like, he just got out of jail about a week ago. And they wait. And then the next person goes, I'm going to run the thing through Interpol. And the next person goes, I'm going to go down to that restaurant and see what I can find out down there. And then the next person says, I'm going to go to the hospital and I'm going to check that out. And they're doing what the CW does.
that.
And it's just so weird to me that everybody stops and waits for somebody to say something when in real life that never happens.
Yeah.
And they do all of that from a Ford Explorer, you said? Well, no, only because I've never seen Law and Order SUV.
Well,
I have seen SVU.
SVU, whatever. Oh my God. I say that wrong every time. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, and that's how the CW, most of the shows that I've ever seen, it's like, we got to go do this thing. I'm going to go do this thing.
Well, I mean, in fairness to every television show that's ever fucking existed, you literally just described all of them.
By the way,
you watch some people do cut each other off, and there's not this big gap. But
Well,
it's like, I don't know.
Let me ask a question just real quick. I mean, you're saying you're not into them, and that's fine. But like, how much of them have you watched?
The few that I've. Go ahead.
It sounds like you're painting with a very, very broad brush, and I do understand what you're saying to a point, but it's not quite like slapdash the way it sounds like you're making it out to be.
Right.
It's mostly just, sort of lackluster insofar as what they can do with budget. They have to really stretch it out over the course of a season. So they usually try to save it for a big money shot. And that way they fill it in with those CW-ism soap operatic type things. And it really, a lot of it feels like filler. And that's really become the biggest issue with the CW DC shows, especially The Flash, because like, if I have to like listen to Iris talk about the fucking newspaper that she runs and is super successful inexplicably now, I'm going to blow my fucking brains out.
Right.
No, we're The Flash.
Team Flash.
At least with Superman, they do put the budget into making sure we get to see Superman fly, because Superman flying is important.
But
and they do give us shots of Superman in the air, doing this.
But the dramatic
beats, happy for it.
The dramatic beats in Superman and Lois so far they hit correctly. Like, the story is paced properly, and there's nothing that feels generic or inorganic about it. I mean, this is a very new type of Superman story, something that we've not seen before, particularly in this medium. I mean, Clark and Lois married with 2 teenage sons and navigating one of them through developing superpowers, and the other one just trying to live his normal life, both stuck in Smallville. It's a very interesting dynamic, and I think that's part of the reason why it feels so much better to watch, because they're not retreading old stuff.
Another reason is the production. Lois and Clark and Stargirl, it's what, 12 episodes a season?
No filler.
No, Lois and Clark was like 16.
Yeah, but still, but no
like
filler.
Not the 30 or whatever.
23.
Flash. Yeah.
There's no need for that. Like, I'm a big fan of shortened seasons, because you get to the crux of what each arc is going to be for it. You don't have those in between filler episodes where you can tell they're like kind of spinning their wheels just to fill that time. Like, oh, hurry up, guys, let's finish that race to get to 100 episodes so we can finally hit syndication. Like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
Give us the good story, you know, like, I mean, not that it's a superhero story or anything like that, but one of the best examples I can think of in recent memory on network television is The Good Place by Michael Schur.
Such a good show.
4 seasons. Each season was 13 episodes. It left no room for filler. And if you watch every single season, it gets right to the crux of the matter every single episode for every season. And it comes to a very satisfying conclusion. That's ideally what a show should be. Now, 4 seasons, 13 episodes, you're talking 52 episodes altogether, maybe 54 if you break up, or 56 if you break up the last episode of each season, because it's a 1 hour thing, so they break it up into 2. But like, that's not going to hit syndication. But it didn't matter. There was a story that they wanted to tell, and they told it the way that they felt was best suited to get the point across. And I think that's happening with these particular shows that we're talking about, Stargirl and Superman and Lois, whereas we have The Flash with 23 episodes, and it's just, it feels like it's spinning its wheels. It is interesting to note, though, that it seems like they're going to try to break up the season into story arcs. Like right now, they're doing like the whole Armageddon, and it's supposed to be 5 episodes. And there's likely going to be another string of episodes after that on The Flash. That's going to be some other story arc, and then they'll finish it up. Like they might have 2 or 3 per season, which honestly, if you can separate it like that and keep it contained and have it so it doesn't feel like you're just filling space, great. But I'm kind of out. Like I tapped out last week after 7 in like 7th seasons. I just can't do it. I can't do it anymore.
I think.
Oh, you mean their lightsaber duel? Was
that? Oh my god, dude, that was so fucking. I would have broken my TV when watching that if I could have afforded a new TV when watching that.
80 years of a character. Yes, I'm counting the Golden Age that they could pull from stories, and they rip off Star Wars.
Force lightning lightsabers.
80 years.
I just had a fucking stroke. I
think my biggest problem is I grew up in the 70s and 80s watching shows that were formatted a certain way, and now it's so different. And I mean, I was like in my late 20s, mid 20s in the 90s when the original Flash was on. I absolutely loved that show, but the problem was 1 week it was Monday night at 8, and then next week it was Thursday at 7.
That was CBS because they didn't know how to deal with the Cosby Show and the Simpsons being on.
But RW, you get him back. He's on Stargirl. He's in.
No. I know, but I'm saying like I liked that show, and the first episode I ever saw of Smallville, I think it was at Walmart when the first season came out on DVD, and it was in some bin for like $10, and I'm like, oh, I'll buy this for $10 and check it out. And I watched the first episode, and I loved Smallville. I loved the original Flash.
Did you see the Crisis on Infinite Earths when they killed off the 90s Flash?
No.
He ran really fast, like his character in the comic book, destroys the Anti-Monitor's machine. However, since the beginning of the show's start, they have been saying the Flash will die in the Crisis, which did happen in the comics. Barry replaces 90s comics. John Shipp Barry replaces Grant Gustafson's Barry in the Anti-Monitor's machine. And while he's running super fast and disintegrating, like everything's ripping apart of his body, he starts flashing back to all his characters from the 90s show. And then he dies.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's after
it was really cool.
Or 4th character he's played on that show, because he's also Barry's dad. He's Jay Garrick Flash, and he's now Jay Garrick Flash again in Stargirl.
Yeah.
And didn't they kill off Smallville's Clark?
No. He gave up his superpowers so he could live happily ever after with Erica Durance on the farm raising their daughters, which is a joke because when 16 Candles, what's his face, shows up,
John Cryer.
Yeah,
Lenny,
the Lex Luthor, the Lex Luthor from Superman 4 shows up. He says, "You gave up your powers to be a god?" And Clark's like, "Wow, I've already had this conversation." Because when Lois and other people show up during the Crisis to warn him Lex Luthor's coming to kill him, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know the president was supposed to be in town today," which means in the Smallville universe, Lex is still president. But Clark doesn't give a crap anymore because he wants to be a family man, and it's just like, the hell with my powers. Luthor can run the country.
Well, no, I mean, that universe, didn't that universe get destroyed?
He gave up his powers to be a family man. And he's
Well,
raising his daughters on the farm.
I don't actually, real quick. I'm not sure if it's clear if that universe survived or not because it's before all the different universes start to converge at the end of Crisis. I don't recall that they showed it being one of the Earths that survived.
Okay.
It was also very weird. A lot of people pointed out that the Erica Durance, who does play Lois Lane on Smallville, doesn't meet Supergirl because Supergirl disappears and goes on another mission. And Erica Durance plays her mother on Supergirl in the Argo City before it was destroyed. And a lot of people were like, that would have been a great reunion because you've already acknowledged that Ray Palmer looks like both the Superman and the Atom. You know, like they made that joke saying, wow.
You know honestly, what I thought would have been perfect is if in Brandon Routh as Superman in that series, if they had even shown like a picture of him with Lois, that they would have had his actual wife, Courtney Ford, as Lois in it. Because like for real, she would be a good pick to play Lois.
Oh yeah, and she was the villain
Nora Dark
movie's daughter in the Arrowverse. The guy who plays
Nora Dark. Yeah, she's Damien Dark's daughter in it. Yeah.
I didn't know they were married until they left the show, and someone's like, by the way, those two were like married. I was like, oh wow.
Oh yeah, they've been together for years now.
Oh yeah, they got together before he was Superman, so she's like been with him before his.
Yeah, she actually likes him. That's that's what we're boiling it down to, kids.
She met him at the bar he worked at before he got cast as Superman.
Yep. A lot of people did.
Hey, I'm secure enough in my ability to be like, yeah, Brandon Routh is a handsome fucking dude. He is. He got a raw deal with Superman Returns, man. He really
apparently he interviewed to be Superman in Smallville.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
So did Jensen Ackles, Supernatural fame, and then he came in the third season to play a terrible character who's dating a high school student.
Smallville? Yeah.
Yeah, they had several people who had initially auditioned to play Clark Kent show up later in the series as different characters. I think Ian Somerhalder was one of them as well.
You had I don't know the actor's name, but Aquaman went on to be in This Is Us.
And what's his name? Mysterio.
Aquaman. Alan Richardson.
Spider-Man.
Whoever played Aquaman in Smallville.
Alan Richardson.
Yeah, he's on This Is Us. He's
the
like
guy that played Hawk in Titans.
Yes, Hawk.
No. Now, did anybody ever watch?
That's who played Aquaman in Smallville.
No. Yeah, Leo, that's Hawk on Titans.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh wait, do you mean Milo Ventimiglia? No, wait.
Maybe. Hold on.
Because Milo Ventimiglia was one of the people that tried out to play Clark Kent in Smallville as well.
From Heroes.
Let's check the Google machine.
Yeah, I'm doing IMDb right now. Justin Hartley.
Oh, that's Green Arrow.
That's Green Arrow.
Green Arrow. Yeah.
You know what you're thinking of? You're thinking of him. He was initially in the pilot for the Aquaman show called Mercy Relief. And then when it didn't get picked up, they brought him over to Smallville and made him Oliver Queen in it.
Yep.
I know how I follow how you did that. Because in the show Smallville, Aquaman was AC and he was played by Alan Richardson.
Now,
is that more broish than the bro-ness of our current Aquaman?
No, that's like Chad shit right there. That's like his best friend's name is Kyle. What were you saying, RW?
Oh, I was gonna say before Smallville came on, like a few years before, there was a show called Roswell that only lasted like 3 seasons.
Oh, and now it's back.
Right, but I'm saying I watched that again. I worked at this place that sold DVDs, and when a DVD would pop out of its case, they'd send us the whole thing back. We'd send them a replacement, and then we'd throw them out, even though there was nothing wrong with them. So I acquired a bunch of DVDs back then. So I got this Roswell, and I watched it. And what's funny is I thought it was a good show, and then when I first saw Smallville, I'm like, wow, that's almost like they took Roswell and went, let's make this character Clark Kent. Let's make this character Lana Lang. Let's make this character this person, and let's have these guys with superpowers. It was like really weird, but
I mean,
I just didn't know if anybody remembered that.
The funny thing about that, though, is that in even since the Silver Age, I mean, the cast of characters that they use, like the central cast of characters, the really only big addition additions, I should say, are Chloe Sullivan and Lionel Luthor. Because everybody else is else is there. Like Pete Ross and
we
Lana
don't
Lang.
mention Chloe anymore.
No, I'll fucking mention the character. I just, I'm not going to talk about the actress. The fucking piece of shit. But yeah, like they were made specifically for the show. And Lionel actually was such a successful and well liked character, ironically enough, that they did try to like shuffle him into the comics ever so slightly. You can read a couple of different origins that are done over the course of like 5 years between 2 or 3 different writers in the comic books, and they all touch upon like the same kind of upbringing that Lex had because of his father. Jeff Johns, Mark Waid. I feel like there's another person there too. But yeah, it's interesting to note the effect that the show derived from the comics had on the comics themselves, and why those tropes that are so deeply embedded in so many shows, and especially like with Roswell, the characters, the characterization, the interactions, it actually is something that they've been doing for almost 40 years in Superman comics at this point. So it is funny to note that Roswell was on first and the dynamic had already existed within that show before Smallville existed. But when you look at it on like past just the face of it, it's like, well, maybe Roswell was kind of touching upon some of the same themes that those original comics were, with how those characters interacted while holding on to a secret. So it's all cyclical. You know, that old Latin saying translated, there's nothing new under the sun.
Right. Somebody wants to come up with an idea and they find something that's wicked popular and they try to just rewrite it with different characters, but have the same kind of plot or whatever. And then, that happens like you're saying, Roswell might have been from somebody saw Superman and said, what if we did this with alien kids or whatever? And then that fails. And then Smallville goes, hey, why don't we, this was sort of like Smallville in the beginning. So let's just, make it Smallville or whatever. But yeah.
It's interesting to note too, that even at that point with Smallville, the 2 guys who developed it, that, essentially created the idea for the show and were the showrunners for a brief amount of time. I think the first 4 seasons, Miles Gupp and Alfred Miller, that was actually already their formula, because what they had done that was most successful before that point was Shanghai Noon.
Oh yeah.
And if you recall, at the end of Shanghai Noon, Jackie Chan's character's name the whole time is Chom Wayne, and when they get to the end, you find out that Roy's real name is Wyatt Earp. And they basically show you in the last couple seconds, they're like, oh, this was an origin story. And that's exactly what they did with Smallville. They took all these things and they're adding it. But the difference is you already know what the end result is supposed to be. So they're playing with all the ideas you may have about what could lead up to that. Right. And I don't know that we needed 10 fucking years of it, but that's what we got.
So you're saying it's almost as useless as Rogue One.
Hey now.
No, I would say like half of the series Smallville didn't need to take place. It really,
even Solo has its moments over the 3 Star Wars films. I'm sorry, it does.
I agree.
I mean, I
like Solo,
Lovers, Lando better than Rey, Finn, and Poe merged together in whatever triangle of sexual innuendo, fantasy, orgy, fan fiction you want to create.
Wow, there's a lot of editorialization going on right there. You and I saw vastly different movies.
Not to mention, wait a minute, you didn't see the one where Captain Phasma takes Rey into the. Oh wait, maybe that was a different film I was watching.
I would say so. Looks like I torrented the wrong Star Wars.
Yeah, you downloaded the wrong Star Wars.
I think I downloaded the wrong Resident Evil movie then as well. There was a lot of zombies, and then there was a hot zombie. Leon took her instead of killing her.
Yeah, that was definitely the wrong fucking movie. I don't want to get into Star Wars shit.
No. Are we going to talk about Ghostbusters?
Yeah, we were. I don't know what the fuck happened to this.
Yeah. So before we do, just real quick, just to catch everybody up. Apparently, J.K. Simmons finished his filming for Batgirl, and he says he's playing a significant role. And what do you got?
Her father, I'd hope so.
Would it be Commissioner Gordon?
Is he gonna have something better to do besides go, how do you think, and then not do anything for the rest of the movie? I mean,
I think he was getting at that his character is gonna be more fleshed out. And also DC
Couldn't be less.
DC last thing on DC Superpets. Did you guys catch the trailer?
That trailer looks so much fun, and I have to work with FedEx a lot, so F FedEx.
The only only DC movie I'm looking forward to.
I really liked of all things. I mean, I enjoyed the trailer altogether, and I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Yeah.
But the design for Superman in it was really cool. Like they gave it the black field with a thin yellow outline, so it sort of harkens to the Fleischer design of the symbol back in the 40s, but it has a very modern look to it. It was very cool. And I honestly, I mean, clearly Chris Rock and Dwayne Johnson just have a lot of fun working together, and that's fine by me because they're a delight to watch.
And John Krasinski as Superman.
Yeah, like I'm so glad that they got him to voice it, because if they were like, oh, and John Krasinski is going to play Superman, I'd be like, I will burn this motherfucker to the ground.
Oh, come on, I was actually kind of hoping they would get Nicolas Cage to come back to voice Superman, and that was the disappointment for me. Because in the Go Titans movie,
I thought that was cute in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, though. It was done well. But actually, I mentioned this in one of the other shows. My hope is actually just like for a like 10 to 20-second snippet, like we find out that Supergirl in the Flash movie that's coming out is the daughter of Superman and Lois Lane, and we see that it's Superman from the '89 universe, and it's Nicolas Cage. I want that to happen just for a couple of seconds. It would satisfy so many people and shut so many people up. And I just really want Salma Hayek to play Lois Lane in that scene as well, like so badly. Because wow, yeah, that would be no, because Sasha Calle is South American, so it would actually like lend credence to why she looks Latina.
The hottest, curviest Lois Lane ever.
Fuck yeah! Oh, you got a problem with that all of a sudden? Okay.
But here's the problem, though. When Tim Burton signs on to do something, he seems to have some copyright involved with what he creates. And the reason why we're getting an '89 Batman comic book now is because the copyright has elapsed at long last for DC to have complete control over their toys and media. And that's why they're able to do it, and haven't been able to do an '89 comic book for decades. The Superman Nicolas Cage might still partially be part of Tim Burton's long-running contract with, his former long-running contract with Warner Brothers. Notice nowadays he's playing in the Disney world.
Again.
Well, I just hope that for one scene we get like Bat Cow.
Why not? It is surprising that they didn't go with like Ace the Bat Hound or anything like that.
Hey, how about that new Ghostbuster movie?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, Ghostbusters.
How about it, RW?
Hold on, before we get into it, Leo, you braved the theater to see this. What did you think?
Oh, geez. Okay, so as everybody knows, I'm a germaphobe, and I'm being super cautious.
I am also afraid of German people. I get it.
Yeah.
Especially the 40s.
Okay. Want to hear a German knock joke?
Knock. Said the 40s. I didn't say today.
Knock.
Who's there?
Viva ask the questions.
Okay, so I have health issues, so I'm super cautious with COVID. Like,
I mean, you had that near heart attack death thing happen. So
yeah. So it's, but yeah, I braved the theater before I went. I bought my tickets, and it looked like 10 people were going to be there. So I bought 4 tickets. I bought the seats around me, so that I did.
It would have been cheaper to rent the whole theater.
Out of my book, brother.
We attempted that. We tried it.
$4 seats, $1 a pop. Yeah, you would have been cheaper to rent the whole theater for you and your wife.
No, it's $300 to rent a theater. So it was, I wasn't gonna,
Wow.
did
It's
the same thing
$100
when I
to rent a
went to-
theater at AMC.
no, here it's 300. I priced it out.
Yeah, no, I priced it out up here too. I'm just outside of Boston, and for newer movies like Ghostbusters, it costs $299.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
So I ended up going to the theater anyway. It just turned out to be me and one other dude, and
Nice.
Did you hold hands?
we were on opposite sides of the theater.
And for the record, I'm with Leo too. I also braved the theater to see it, but I went with my girlfriend to dinner before, and then we went to see it, and then I saw it the next day with my co-host. Great.
So you got extra COVID?
No, fuck you.
No, just enough. You got
Just
just
fuck
enough
you for the
COVID.
day.
Wow.
Okay, so totally spoiler free. This is a movie that everybody needs to see at the theater. And avoid spoilers because there's some huge ones.
Yes.
But
You can't talk about the first 10 minutes of the film. Which
you
was
can't talk about
hard.
anything of the movie.
Or the
last 10
next
minutes.
or the next 80 or then the next 20. So the whole fucking movie.
All
Got
right,
it?
so if it's in the trailer and they've done interviews on the Tonight Show, we can talk about that part. I mean, everyone knows the original Ghostbusters came back. That's not a spoiler.
Yeah,
we
but
can
what
talk about how Brandon got his Ecto Cooler popcorn bucket.
I did get my Ecto Cooler pop.
Oh, nice.
Son of a bitch.
$35 for that thing. I was like,
Fuck yeah, I did. God damn it. Yeah, I mean, considering I'm like one of the only fucking fat asses that showed up to the movie, like
we got Ghostbuster Slimers and little plushy Ecto ones to give away, and Ghostbuster theatrical posters for Radio Horror we gave away.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
The one scene that absolutely could not believe was. Just kidding.
so many sphincters just tightened.
Wasn't it great when the Extreme Ghostbusters showed up from the 90s cartoon series? Like Carly, the goth chick everyone loves?
All right, kick Chris off now. We said no spoilers.
No, those characters didn't show up. Do you know why? Because copyright.
did
Blah, blah, blah.
they?
They don't have the rights to them. That's why we're not getting Extreme Ghostbusters on DVD. As much as I want that set to go with.
All right.
this
Well, so
amazing set.
then we don't want to get into spoilers. All right.
Yeah.
Now, RW, you haven't seen it, or have you? No.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Leo,
Safe there.
Yes.
out of five, I don't know what you fucking want to say. 5 stars.
Five
I guess.
Ecto Coolers out of
5
5.
Ecto Coolers. There we go. 5 Ecto Coolers. How do you rate it?
10.
Okay, that wasn't an option. Steve, how out of 5 Ecto Coolers, how would you rate it?
Same. 10. 10 Ecto Coolers out of 10.
Jesus, motherfucker. Fucking, this is not how numbers and statistics work, you fuckheads.
Oh,
Chris, I swear to fucking God.
it's not ghost heads, it's fuckheads this episode.
So, out of 5 Ecto Coolers, what would you rate it?
Oh, RW didn't say. Oh, me, yeah, 5. It was amazing.
I asked RW first if he had seen it. He hasn't.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah, no, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, God, I love Ghostbusters so much. One spectacular spider host show I do, whatever the fuck it's called, Sal Buscema's show is done. I've looked, and nobody is doing it online. I would love to do an episode by episode podcast about the real Ghostbusters cartoon.
There's somebody on the network that's actually working on one.
That does
What?
sound familiar.
Yeah.
Sounds
Who is
familiar.
That,
We'll
that-
talk about it later, buddy.
No, you can message me if you don't want to say it in the chat.
but that's why all the episodes are streaming on Pluther.
They're also on YouTube right now. Well,
real
the first 10 episodes are on YouTube.
quick. I would just like to give my rating real quick.
Yes.
Out of 5 Ecto Coolers, I actually give Ghostbusters 4.5 out of 5.
That's fine.
Really?
Yes. It loses half an Ecto Cooler for me, because of one thing that shows up about, as far as I can remember, like 35 seconds too soon at the very end of the movie. If it weren't there, if these two little things weren't on the screen in front of me until just a few seconds later, then I would have given it a 5 out of 5. But it was too schmaltzy, and it literally pulled me right out of the movie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
You have to understand, like, I went in there and I love Ghostbusters. I absolutely fucking adore Ghostbusters. And I went in there wanting it to be excellent, of course. but I still watched it as objectively as I possibly could. And I was able to look at it and say, like, I really like this. I really like this. Like, this is okay. This is all right. I feel like I've seen this before. But when I got to the very end, after with it all getting sewn up right to that button, it got to this little thing on screen. I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
I need a little hint.
A couple. I can't give you a hint because it's a spoiler. Unfortunately, it's not a person. Okay, let me put it this way. There's a couple of words that show up on the screen at the very end, and it came about, like I said, about half a minute too early.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Half a minute too early, and that for me, because there was still more of the movie to show, just a little bit, and then it ended, and it literally had no place being right there. It pulled me right out, and that should not happen with any movie. It ceased being the movie for me right then and there, because that was it. That was the finality, and it still rolled on somewhat. And I was like, no, okay, you're gonna lose a little bit for me on this one.
Now, was there a cameo by Larry Storch at all?
So why do I know that name?
Who?
Are you
Larry
talking about
Storch.
that old crappy Ghostbusters TV show?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jesus
The thing
Christ.
that Dan Aykroyd had to buy whoever the hell, Columbia had to buy the rights for the Ghostbusters title, so they didn't say Ghost.
That's why that cartoon you're holding
Oh
says
God! What a piece
the
of
real
crap!
Ghostbusters.
Cartoon was such garbage. Everyone should shun and hate that.
Hey, Brandon,
Everyone
can
go
you
to
message me?
RWIMDb right now and rate it down.
I'll message you. I
Yeah.
know, because you want to know exactly what it is.
Yeah, because I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm like,
I
Not a
got it,
problem.
and you're lost.
Okay, so there's
Yeah,
a
geez, Steve got it. I wouldn't go that far.
Ghostbusters
Steve.
live action show.
You're an astute dude. Stop
That was called Ghostbusters, and they made a cartoon sequel to it at the same time the real Ghostbusters was coming out. And the reason why this is called the real Ghostbusters is because this is the better Ghostbusters.
Well,
So if you
also,
watch-
actually, it's called the real Ghostbusters because of that legal entanglement. They couldn't
Right.
call it Ghostbusters because Funimation was conscripted to make an animated series, because they said to themselves, "Oh, well, let's cash in on this movie being successful." And then stupid little kids like me in the mid '80s were like, "Oh, Ghostbusters cartoon!" And I turned around, I'm like, I don't remember the ape in the movie at all.
If you watch the movies that made us, it explains that these guys own the Ghostbuster name, but then the guy who was the head of that, like
Funimation.
Paramount or Universal or Warner Brothers or whatever at the time, couldn't give him the rights. But then he left to go to where it was,
Yeah.
and said, "Yeah, you can have the name or whatever." And it was like that close. I forgot what was Ghostbusters going to be originally called if they
Ghost
could
Chasers.
get the name.
Racers.
Ghost Catchers, Ghost Chasers.
Well,
Yeah,
Actually,
something
Ghost
completely different.
Fighters.
Yeah.
And,
And by the way, that studio you're talking about, they would put on. They were it was Lou Schreiber's Filmation, and best known for He-Man, She-Ra.
Filmation did
He-Man,
some
She-Ra
great
is probably
stuff.
the
They
biggest
also
one.
did the Star Trek animated series, the Planet of the Apes, Tarzan. I mean, they had some wicked good cartoons back in the day. But yeah,
Right. Yeah. They were huge, and Lou Schreiber was like one of the first people in animation to be like, I want my name in the front of the credits, please. I'm
Yeah.
the creator of this. And it was very unprecedented for the time to have somebody put their name right after, like when He-Man is doing his punch into the screen, it would say Lou Schreiber, executive producer.
well, it's sort of like
Who
John
cares about that?
Carpenter. John Carpenter, any movie he makes, it has to say John Carpenter's the thing. John Carpenter's this, and like
Right.
Not true.
Whereas,
With
like George
Starman
Lucas-
or
George
Memoirs of an
Lucas
Invisible
followed
Man.
with the Directors Guild to say, no. Put my name at the end of the credit. I want my name. No. The crawl can't say by George Lucas. No. And the Directors Guild was like, well, you're going to get kicked out of the Directors Guild. He was like, fuck you. I've got toy money. I don't care.
and he does. Yeah.
And more.
Yeah. I mean, he was literally like, fuck you. I'm not doing that. I want my name at the end of to be the first thing that pops up as soon as the credits.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so Brandon, thank you for messaging.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, not a problem, bud.
Yeah, so there was no ape in Ghostbusters then. So now I guess I don't need to see it because.
So I just want to say I totally agree, and and I'm sure everybody thinks the same way. Is the whole movie was essentially that.
Well, that's exactly what it is. The whole movie was that.
Yeah.
So it didn't need to be there. Not like that.
Yep.
It could have been right, at the crawl. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It should have been. It's too.
Only you, Tom.
It's too much. It's too much. And like I said, it pulled me right out.
Yeah.
And there was already enough of that suspension of disbelief and trying to forget the real world while you're watching the movie. That for me, that was sort of a hat on a hat, an unnecessary hat on a hat.
But totally, and it was too short. Also, it should have totally been worded differently. But like after everything, like at the very end.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of that stupid new logo.
Oh my goodness! Did anybody else feel weird when they? I mean, listen, this is not a spoiler. Did anybody else feel really fucking weird when they showed the Ghostbusters logo at the very end, like the actual Ghostbusters word, and it was like one fucking word on the screen and not split top and bottom? Like that really, I felt fucking strange seeing that on the screen. Just Ghostbusters straight across instead of Ghostbusters.
Didn't they do that with the second one? Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they do the same thing with the second one? There isn't just straight title, straight line? Or
maybe, but I try not to think about
Ghostbusters. I think the game's like that.
Hey, now.
The game is like that, yes.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2 is better than the 2016 film.
This one's better than the 2016 film.
Well, yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to argue with you on that.
There's this thing called respect and other stuff that we can't say that Brandon probably messaged Leo about that I don't want to get into.
But
there
is the all-female one.
Yeah,
I still haven't
I don't
seen
want
that
to get
one
into
either.
big bashing of it because it will never end. Like the bashing of Batman versus Superman, Leo's other favorite film, Justice League.
So it wasn't that bad, but after seeing this movie, it's worlds away. This here was a true Ghostbusters movie.
Respect, homage, successor.
Oh, exactly. And I'm sure you guys did the same. I mean, I cried multiple times throughout the movie. I told my wife I did, and she said, "Oh, that's so adorable."
See,
she just patting you on that. Okay, that's nice, honey.
It's funny because I'm very, I guess, I'm empathetic or whatever. So I cry. It's like at everything. So Tracy's always like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "What?" And I turn this way. She's over here. I'm like, "What?" I just got something in my freaking eye. Freaking cat.
I got pee in my eyes. How'd you get pee?
But
pissed all over my face. Okay, just leave me alone.
Something like, my girlfriend says, "What do you mean you didn't cry at Titanic?" Me, and then it shows some scene from Ghostbusters or whatever. So, when I do watch this movie, I'm gonna make it, my point not to cry, so that I can say, "Ha ha ha! I didn't cry at once."
I didn't cry, and the thing is, like, that is in no way a commentary on the movie. That is not a commentary on the movie at all.
Yeah.
Once again, like I do get, I get very emotional while watching stuff and whatnot too. Like, especially the older I get, it's like, it's like I learn how to be more human the older I get. It's fucking disturbing. I don't like it.
Emotions.
Yeah, exactly. Why?
Why does my heart beat?
Why do I identify with this plate so much?
Well, like, have you
why
seen?
did I identify so much when Tony reunited with his dad when my dad passed away the same month?
You guys have seen Tombstone, right?
Yeah.
So at the end, when he says, "Thanks for always being there for me, Doc," and Val Kilmer's like, "Go on, get out of here," or whatever. I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like because you can feel that friendship bond,
like in Harry and the Hendersons.
I mean,
he just starts like, "Go on, get out of here! I don't even like you."
Yeah, most guys feel like if they cry, it's a sign of weakness. But
no. I mean, honestly, like my wife can tell you, like I weep fairly often. I mean, for some reason, like musicals do it to me like nobody's business. I don't know why, but the thing is, I sat down and watched this, and as I said, I got myself into the correct mindset for me. I sat down. I said, I don't want to sit here and give this an automatic pass because of nostalgia. I'm going to let this movie be what it is in front of me, knowing what I know about the other two movies. And also, for me, I think it's probably beneficial that I actually don't remember a lot of the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And also, I never watched Extreme Ghostbusters. The only thing I have is the comics that IDW did over the past few years. But I also understood like that has nothing to do with anything I was going to be looking at. So I didn't bring anything extra to it other than parts 1 and 2 beforehand. So I wasn't constantly checking it and balancing it against things that I knew outside of the experience I had. And I think I was able to come out with a pretty good perspective. More like if I hadn't, then we wouldn't have had the conversation we did about what that movie had done, what it does, and it's a good thing altogether for 9/10 of the movie, 98% of the movie. It's just that little thing at the end. And some people might say I'm nitpicking, and that's okay. I can understand that. I'm not trying to. I'm not tearing the movie apart. I love the movie. I don't think it's like as perfect a film as it could have been, especially because of that.
Hold on real quick. Sergio RW is the guy RW here. You see his name there.
Like,
so who is RW? Yeah. So all of us saw it except for RW. And Jeremy, we will be talking about Wheel of Time in a little bit. Right now we're talking about Ghostbusters spoiler free. Sorry, just wanted to chime in for comments here.
I guess the thing that gets me, and we talked about this on another show recently, was like they're going to make a Lethal Weapon movie or a Beverly Hills Cop movie. And I guess my problem is, why did you wait 30 years to make this Ghostbuster movie? Why did you wait 20 years to do this other Lethal Weapon movie? Why do you wait 40 years to make, this, Golden Girls again or whatever?
RW, I think any one of the four of us can tell you straight out that a large part of the reason why they had to wait so long to get this Ghostbusters movie made is because of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He constantly refused the scripts that were being written. And there's some stuff that was done like earlier on that was actually like pretty interesting.
And there are hundreds of interviews with Dan Aykroyd calling Bill Murray.
We're just waiting on Danny. We're just waiting on Danny. We're just waiting on.
And also, there's plenty of those scripts you can find online. There's some awesome ones out there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why
waiting on Danny and Harold with the script, and then Danny and Harold with the script. Fucking then it turns into two of them. Oh, we're waiting to see what Bill says. Yeah, we're waiting to see what Bill says. Okay, and Bill always said nope.
Yeah,
it looked like the only thing we were gonna get close to a Ghostbusters 3 for the longest time was the Ghostbusters video game, which was excellent. Yeah, and they all came back for it. They all came back to voice their characters in it.
Okay, so to the four of you who've seen it, and to all these Ghostbusters fans who are watching this, hopefully either right now or, well, if they're watching it right now, they're watching it right now too, even if they're not watching it right now. But anyways,
right now, right now.
It's gone by. Would you guys have rather had a Ghostbuster movie 10 or 20? So this one's 30 years ago was the last one or something like that?
1989.
Okay, so let's just say 20 years ago. Would you, all you people watching, and you guys there too, would you have rather had a Ghostbuster movies 20 years ago that didn't have Bill Murray in it?
Yes.
Yes?
No.
I mean, you could have done it with just Dan Aykroyd if he.
No. Bill came back full force in this. Like his comedy was spot on from the original Ghostbusters.
Right, but I'm saying
barely hanging into there.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, so
I would not want to have seen a Ghostbusters movie made 20 years ago without Bill Murray, but the other three.
I agree with Leo and Brandon. So
that's just me.
Pick, like I'm not saying Seinfeld. I'm not saying everybody loves Raymond. I'm just trying to think of something from the past. So you bring Seinfeld back, but
Michael Richards.
But Michael, it's like, so Michael Richards doesn't want to reprise his role, or
no, it has nothing to do with wanting to.
No, but I'm saying, or Jason Alexander or whatever. Is it going to be the same? No, but so you get either nothing because not everybody wants to do it, or you get something that doesn't have everybody in it. Where's the
nothing
line?
works for me, man.
In my opinion, You need the complete package.
Yeah, I'd rather have nothing than
Okay,
than
so you'd
something
rather
they try
have
to
no
pass
other
off.
Beverly Hills Cop movie if Eddie Murphy's not in it. You don't want another this movie if this person's not in it. You'd rather just say we're done and move on.
I mean,
Yeah,
Ghostbusters
I mean-
lends itself to a lot of stories. We have two cartoon series, countless comic books that show Ghostbusters can go on and on and on and on. We don't need Beverly Hills Cop for him going in Beverly Hills to solve the same fucking crime but Ghostbusters, there's so much lore. Again, the cartoons and the comic books referencing it just based on like how much religion, supernatural mumbo jumbo exists in our real world and hell, we had 15 years of TV show called Supernatural where Sam and Dean are doing basically what the Ghostbusters do. They're not trapping the ghosts, they're destroying them. That proves there is so much story out there. We don't need the Golden Girls to come back. We don't need, these aren't the Lethal Weapon. Like, who cares? And also Mel Gibson is just a washed up racist. I don't really need to see that anymore. Jesus effing Christ. He-Man is another example of something coming back after 30 years. Yes, they tried it in the early 2000s. It didn't work, but they reinvented it. Now it's successful twice. There's 2 cartoons on Netflix and She-Ra. There's so much in that world to explore, to do with, and so many goddamn characters like Star Wars, like Marvel. But it's just recycling the same crap that doesn't need to be like, oh, let's do the sequel to this, but they're all dead and it's their great grandchildren. Whatever they're going to do with the Golden Girls coming up, there's always the threat of doing.
They're bringing back.
Are they bringing back the Golden Girls? I thought you were.
Yes.
I thought you were being flippant.
There's the threat of doing Murder, She Wrote, but it's like Jessica's niece, and it's like, what?
It's
Wouldn't
called
her niece be
Hollywood
like 60?
is running out of ideas.
Okay, so the last question I have for everybody is this. You waited because you wanted Bill Murray, but you lost Harold Ramis. So what if we had done it 20 years ago with Harold Ramis and we didn't have Bill Murray?
Hey,
Are you saying...
RW, in lieu of an answer to your question,
go see the movie.
Go see the movie.
No, and I know, I mean, without seeing the movie and without spoilers, everybody knows something
but
kind of happened, but he's
really
not
answer.
really there. I'm just saying, it's like the Carrie Fisher thing or whatever. You
Yeah,
know,
but
I'm just saying, like, we lost Harold Ramis, so he's not really there for the whole movie or whatever. So you're saying we'd rather have a Ghostbusters with Bill Murray than 20 years ago have Harold Ramis and not Bill Murray.
RW,
go see the movie.
You have to see the movie.
Yeah.
We can't answer that question. Once you see the movie, you'll understand why we can't answer that.
I know.
I'm not sure.
Like, how many times could they keep doing Terminator, but like, oh, the next time they're not going to do it with Arnold? But at the same point, it's like, really?
We changed the mold. We changed the mold.
Oh yeah, the skin gets old, but the Terminator underneath is still like from the future. But the skin is old. That's why he looks like
yeah. Well, Brent Spiner looked horrible as Data on Picard when he was
oh
on
my
there.
god!
Yeah.
Wow,
he's supposed to be an android, but yet he's like.
But
I mean,
he could look perfect to reprise his role in Night Court, though.
Right, but at least 7 of 9, that Borg technology kept Jerry Ryan looking as hot as ever.
And he can play Data in Picard, but he can also play a retcon Noonien Singh in Picard as well.
Yeah,
he just looks awful.
Yeah, huh? The Noonien Singh character in Picard was retconned,
and obviously they didn't have the budget, but they made Kurt Russell look young in Guardians 2 by doing that like stuff. Why didn't they try to do that to Brent Spiner? Because
Guardians 2 was made by Disney.
Yeah, Russell's not on screen that long. They have to do his entire face the entire movie, which starts chewing into their the magic.
They did Sam Jackson in They did Sam Jackson and Captain Marvel, though, and that was almost the entire movie.
I mean,
but that was money. Marvel had the money.
Yeah.
Yes, Disney, but also.
But Samuel Jackson, when he shaves and cleans up his face,
thank you.
He looks.
I was just gonna say, Sam Jackson has actually aged very, very well.
Right. Yeah. Also, depending on skin tone as well, Kurt Russell looks extremely haggard and old, but he still looks decent. Samuel Jackson has a black, a skin tone. It's a little easier to do with certain people's skin tones if they're not completely aged out like crazy like Kurt Russell. That's not to say Kurt Russell looks terrible, because as the Santa Claus he looks fantastic, but let's face it, he's not a young man. You know what I mean?
I think Samuel Jackson's older than Kurt Russell.
Right, he's almost in his 80s.
But once again, I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, he has aged incredibly well. Like Jeremy said, black don't crack. There is something to it. But for real, like the guy has kept himself in pretty good shape over the years, and that's really saying something from where he started.
I'm shocked in the new Halloween movie they didn't have Jamie Lee Curtis do a motion caption version of her younger self from the 70s, because Jesus Christ, not counting when she's like the alcoholic Laurie Strode in the current movies, but Jamie Lee Curtis today, holy crap, she looks amazing, and she's in her mid-60s.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like her true. She doesn't look like she's 20-something years old. I'm not going to say that.
Right.
She still looks like her True Lies. She looks like she did in True Lies or Halloween H2O.
Yeah.
I mean, that is how good she looks. So they could easily do a little motion caption to make her look like she's 18 again. You know, with that crappy looking hair.
That one character in Halloween Kills was all practical effects. It wasn't motion capture, by the way. I don't want to say who it was because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
I'm not sure.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way,
I know what you mean.
By the way, do you know who's getting a motion caption done? This guy. He's already been seen on set with dots on his face, which means they're doing Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones back in the day. You know what I mean?
It's not back in the day. It's 1960s space race.
So no. I mean, they're going to do probably when the photos came out of Indiana Jones with his dots all over his face, a lot of people are assuming they're going to show us Indiana Jones from when we remember him prior to
Sean Patrick Flannery.
This belongs in a museum.
No, the original trilogy, not
Crystal Skulls, or before that.
No, we don't talk about Crystal Skulls.
What? It's right here. See, you dumped the sand upside down. And
I
you
can't
push it
believe
down,
we're
the
fucking
sand
talking
reveals
about Indiana Jones right now. What the
the
hell?
Crystal Skull. This is a Burger King toy, by the way. I love this thing.
Oh, nice.
Hey, let's talk about Wheel of Time.
Yeah. Okay. So who watched Wheel of Time?
What is Wheel of Time?
What is Wheel of Time?
It is a series on Amazon based on some books by a guy named Brandon Sanderson.
Oh,
is that right?
Is it popular?
Apparently, to some people.
Is it like J.R. Martin popular?
I know. My partner at work, he was all pumped up about the series premiering. So
wait a minute, didn't they make that into a movie with Oprah and Captain Kirk?
No. You're what? Captain? Chris
Pine.
No, you're thinking of A Wrinkle in Time.
Oh.
Jeremy says Robert Jordan.
Was it Wheel of Time with the polar bears and Nicole Kidman?
No.
That's Golden Compass.
That's Golden Compass. Are you fucking taking the piss right now? Is that what's happening? Yeah.
Okay. So Wheel of Time. My wife and I binged all the episodes that are current right now. Amazon Prime. The show is phenomenal. Matter of fact, it's had such success on Amazon Prime that they said that they're going to do more genre type movies or shows like this.
Oh,
so
good.
More of the Game of Thrones type of shows.
Oh, maybe they'll give the Dark Tower a second chance and not start it on the 4th fucking book.
Oh,
yeah.
What a nightmare that would have been.
Oh my god! I mean,
sorry. I don't want to touch it. Sorry.
Idris Elba, I didn't care. But I was going for Idris Elba. I didn't care, but that was just not great.
Abysmal. Listen, when that series by Stephen King finished, I was 22 years old, and I had started reading that series when I was 11. I had spent literally half of my life waiting for that series to end when it did.
Which one?
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. And when that movie came out, I was so crestfallen that I was trying to figure out how I could learn to fly a plane just so I could go kamikaze on wherever the fuck the Sony executive lived that decided to make that movie.
Wow.
I actually sent them numerous emails and tweets for a month demanding my money back.
Brandon, her name is Amy Pascal.
Oh, I fucking know who Amy Pascal is.
Sony executive, and the reasons why we have the 2016 Ghostbusters, because she's a bitch, and the
honestly,
by the way, the Amazing Spider-Man movies. And there is just you think I
blame Ron Howard for a good chunk of that movie being terrible because he fucking muddied the waters when he was going to do it. I mean, he was like, we're gonna make it like a multimedia experience. We're gonna go movie, television series, movie, television series, movie. And I'm like, you are out of your fucking mind, Opie. You better knock that shit off right now.
But Amy Pascal has a notorious history of like effing up projects in movie studios. Like that whole Sony email debacle was like part of her bullshit. And she had to go with her head in her hand to Kevin Feige to be like, do something with Spider-Man that works. And he's like, sure. We'll work together.
Chris,
and now they're all like, we're working together to give us Spider-Man and Venom and Morbius.
Chris, which email fiasco? Because there was a bunch of them.
The big one that basically lost Spider-Man from Sony and Marvel had to take that over with Civil War. The interview debacle with the Koreans.
That's the one I was thinking of.
That is Amy Pascal. That was under Amy.
all that email stuff all together. I'm still kind of like, I wish I could see the alternate universe in which they actually did crossover 21 Jump Street with Men in Black. Like, I wish I could view that alternate reality just to see what that would look like.
Oh yeah, the Men in Black, the Men in Black crossover they're gonna do with
21 Jump Street, and like the email from Jonah Hill, he's like, "Oh yeah, I think it's like fresh and organic." I'm like, "How? This is not kale from Whole Foods, Jonah. Knock it the fuck off."
Did anybody else see this? I saw, and I don't know where, it might have been Facebook, Twitter, whatever, but some director guy, and you might know about this, is going to do some movie, but you have to go to 3 separate theaters to like see what's going on. Did you hear about that thing?
Christopher Nolan. I thought that was satire when I saw it.
It's his Oppenheimer movie, yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
But it's like I gotta go to 3 theaters to like figure out what's going on, and he's like, "It's the new thing." And
I'm kind of all set with Christopher Nolan. All right,
he's pulling this. Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
He's pulling this stunt because he's so pissed that he was so hell-bent and hell over creation on having his movie Tenet released in IMAX during a pandemic that he lost money, that he's doing this stunt, and he's going to bitch and moan that people aren't going to go to 3 different theaters to see it.
I was like, what is this? Like, seriously.
That's the thing. When all of this stuff was going down with Tenet and the fight back and forth about releasing it in theaters or on HBO Max, and ultimately they were like, dude, we're going to release it, however the fuck we want. And he threw a bitch fit across the internet. And quite frankly, to me, like I made a meme right away. I took a snippet of the fucking bad guy from Monsters Inc. and I put it right underneath one of the headlines from Christopher Nolan, like Christopher Nolan insists his movie be released in theaters regardless of the pandemic. And right underneath is the boss from Monsters Inc. going, "I don't care how many children have to die in order to save this industry." Because straight up, like that's what it was. There was this shit going down, and Christopher Nolan straight up was like, "I don't fucking care how many people get sick and die. You're gonna put my movie in theaters." Like, dude, you're insane. You are a fucking fool. You are a villain in one of the long, overblown movies you make.
What studio is releasing the atomic bomb movie?
Universal,
because obviously,
because Universal hates streaming as well. That's why they don't have a streaming service.
Because obviously Nolan has a huge hard on for Warner Brothers. So
they were one of the biggest companies to come out against streaming when they were like when the pandemic came down. Right? Weren't they one of the big studios to be like, no streaming?
Maybe.
No, wait, that's not
true. No, because they got Peacock.
No, they have they released the Troll movie. The Troll movie was the highest grossing film.
Yeah. Actually, that's what happened was they released the Troll movie, and then the cinemas all were fucking went fucking ape shit and were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they came to an agreement with them that they would release the movies in theaters, and then within 3 weeks or 45 days, something like that, then they would release it for rental on video on demand.
On Reddit.
Before that point, though, it was anything goes.
By the way, on Reddit, somebody posted saying there's 2 countries that will benefit and not benefit from that Alan Oppenheimer movie coming out. China will show that in every single theater in the country because they hate the Japanese.
Hold on. And Jeremy,
that article, Chris, please.
Okay, so Jeremy, it's not an Onion article. It looks like this is legit, and this is a quote from Nolan. "I've been wanting to do a project like this for years," said the director and cinephile who famously refuses to shoot on digital. and was vocally upset about Warner Media's decision to premiere his films online during the worst waves of the pandemic. And he says, and I thought, what a better way to celebrate our long overdue return to the cinema by tasking moviegoers to run around in the multiplex trying to piece together
Bro, I can sit in my fucking seat and try to piece together your bullshit. I don't need to run to another fucking theater.
I mean, wait, Brendan,
did you see Tenet?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Maybe he's going to make the ending to this Oppenheimer movie like the ending to Clue. Each theater gets a different ending. You have to figure out
what could have happened was, and this might have happened.
Well,
here's what really happened.
One of the endings.
If anyone's reading current issues of X-Men, Jonathan Hickman wrote an amazing comic book called The Manhattan Project about the Manhattan Project.
So it's not just a clever title,
right? It's not. It's very science fiction like, but it's basically about the scientists that worked on the Manhattan Project become like Avengers themselves, but not the way I'm describing it. It's written by Jonathan Hickman. It's amazing. If you like Hickman's writing, find the Manhattan Project. It's 4 volumes through Image. Good comic book.
Check it out.
I will say there's a great movie that came out. I think it was a TV movie, made-for-TV movie that came out in the 90s, early 90s. Fat Man and Little Boy, about the whole Oppenheimer thing. Really, really good. It's
probably going to be better than this bullshit no one's making.
Yeah.
So my friend had nothing to do with this. He just acted in it. But I'm trying to get him to come on one of our shows. But his name is Christopher Grabber, and I worked on a play with him when he was like 10. He was one of the orphan boys, and I was Mr. Sowerberry. But he's, I think, in his 40s now. But he worked on Tenet, and he worked on The Greatest Show on Earth, and he worked on Alice in Wonderland and Water for Elephants and a bunch of Disney stuff and a bunch of Netflix stuff. So I'm trying to get him to come on and, explain all the different things. Oh, and the big thing he did was he was Bumblebee in the Bumblebee Transformer movie. So he walked around on stilts all day so that they'd have a reference point of how big Bumblebee was going to be. So I'm trying to get him to come on to a show, and he can tell you what it was like working on Tenet.
By the way, Leo, that's a good segue into Hawkeye, because R.W. Martin mentioned Bumblebee, and Haley Steinfeld is in Bumblebee, and she's Kate Bishop.
Yeah, I planned that.
Is it a good segue if you have to explain the segue step by step?
Well, some people don't know who Haley Steinfeld is, and I'm going to bow out of it because I haven't seen the second episode. I wanted to mention real quick, by the way, R.W. Martin, the movie you made with me, the footage is finally getting to what seems like a competent editor, so you might actually see yourself on screen directed by me.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm waiting for this commercial I filmed for a spa too. So yeah, anytime I can get more footage of myself, that's great. So yeah, keep me updated.
R.W. Martin plays a alien conspiracy theorist who calls into my radio show obnoxiously, to the point that during the conversation, I start wondering, is he talking about aliens from outer space or aliens that are coming from illegal countries? It gets very
why not both?
Yeah, but I directed a short film where a bunch of people are basically calling the radio station. One's a dominatrix asking me about my sex life. One is a jilted lover. One is a guy looking for a song that no one can find. R.W. Martin's an alien conspiracy theorist, and there's a woman who's speaking in Russian. I can't understand what the hell she's saying.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're going to talk about Hawkeye. Just want to mention one thing real quick. The Spider-Man No Way Home latest TV spot adds some new scenes. Oh, yeah. And I don't know if you've seen it and if you think this is stupid. Doctor Strange is talking to Doc Ock, and he actually says, "Do you know a Peter Parker that is also Spider-Man?"
Doc Ock says that to Doctor Strange.
No, Doctor Strange says that to Doc Ock. So he's asking Doc Ock if he knows Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Well, that's the thing. Like, everybody keeps saying, like, "Oh, you see, it can't." What is it they keep saying? That scene where he's on the car and then throws a suit on. Yeah. The next thing you know, he's like, "Hello, Peter," and then you see another scene where he's like, "You're not Peter Parker," when it shows him take the mask off in the trailer. Yeah. People are still trying to say, like, "Oh, well, that's probably not even him." speaking to not even Tom Holland in front of him when he says hello, Peter, like that, it's probably Tobey Maguire. I'm like, no, it's probably he sees a fucking kid in a Spider-Man suit and automatically assumes that it's Peter Parker. Like, why would Occam's razor?
Riley,
you know what I mean?
Peter Parker you speak of.
You know, it's like, listen, if you live in an area where there are mostly horses and no zebras, when you hear a fucking stampede go by, do you think it makes more sense to think, oh, those are fucking zebras or horses? All you assholes saying this other shit, you're saying zebras. Start thinking horses.
And by the way, you see in the trailer that when the Spider-Man suit comes off of him and when he says, oh, you're not Peter Parker, he starts admiring his tentacles. He steals the technology because his tentacles become red and gold in one of the scenes in the trailer. So it looks like he steals Spider-Man's Stark tech.
See, what I'm curious about, though, is if the Stark nanotech is merging with his arms, right? What's the reason that Doc Ock is a bad guy?
There is none. The only reason he
yes, there is. In the movies, the inhibitor chip,
right?
The arms try to take him over. That's a big part of the reason why he does the thing he does.
At the end of the movie, though, he reasons with them and they decide to
but it's a battle of wills.
Yeah.
It's a battle of wills at the end, but otherwise it was really calling the shots, the harness. If the nanotech is combining with his arms, does it fix the inhibitor chip at some point? And maybe that's why we don't see Doc Ock in that big fight scene in the first trailer.
It could be.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We know that Disney likes to fuck around with the trailers. We know we're seeing stuff that's not going to appear in the movie. But so they must have shot the new trailer with a lot of people saying, is he saying that because there's other Spider-Man? Because this new trailer blatantly says it. It's Doctor Strange asking Doc Ock, do you know a Peter Parker? Hold on a second. Do you know a Peter Parker that is also Spider-Man? Doc Ock says yes. Then Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that Doc Ock answered. Okay.
Yeah.
So he says
Doc Ock says yes. Then Doctor Strange then responds, is this him? And Doc Ock says no.
The plot congeals.
So that's the only thing.
The funniest part of that trailer is when Mary Jane's just like, and I know a little magic word. Please.
Yeah.
Mary Jane, Michelle Jones, whatever.
MJ. Yeah.
MJ. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem. That's what we're here for. But I saw some people saying like, oh, that scene just made me cringe. And I'm like, why? Have you not seen a fucking
Spider-Man humor?
Have you not seen a Spider-Man or Marvel movie before? Like, what were you expecting?
We get Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch in 2 films back-to-back years. This one and the next year's pushed back Doctor Strange Mountain of LJ H.P. Lovecraft, whatever.
and then when one of the Spider-Mans falls and gets wicked hurt and he says, is there a doctor in the house? That was my favorite part of this.
Okay. I mean, by the way, if anyone hasn't played the Spider-Man video game, the one that came out a few years ago, and the one Miles Morales' game is connected to, highly recommend it. The relationship between Peter and Doc Ock, you care about that fucking relationship the entire game. You know where it's gonna go.
That's
game. You're like, oh, this is sweet.
That's only for PlayStation, though, right?
Only on because it's Sony. It's only on PlayStation.
People, of course,
it is on Xbox, and I don't think it's on PC either. Hey, awesome game, great ending, sad ending, hopeful ending. Miles' game is great, and we got the new one not until 2023. So if you don't have a PlayStation 5 yet,
that's great. I still have plenty of time to get past 43%. That's where it's been sitting.
Oh, you haven't finished it?
No, I have not.
All right, no spoilers.
I have ADHD and I rarely finish video games.
Oh no, you gotta finish this one because it's got so much heart to it at the end.
Listen, I'm stuck. All right, I'm stuck on a side mission, and once I fucking crash, that's none of your goddamn business. I am not gonna make a fool of myself.
All right, it's
Taskmaster. See, I'm a completionist. I always like to achieve 100% or not at all.
Great. Can you come over and help me with my 100%? Because I'm stuck at 99.9.
Oh my God. I haven't touched a PlayStation since PlayStation 2, and I'm waiting until the DoD takes their chips for the PlayStation 5 and with this chip shortage and waits till the price goes down so I can get my PlayStation 5. And I'm on the
By then it'll be PlayStation 6.
I don't care.
No,
fucking
wait.
care.
If I'm assuming we're all in New England, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you can go out to New Hampshire right now, camp outside. All the New Hampshire GameStops are supposed to have the PlayStation 5,
Yeah.
one per customer.
Okay, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I'm just
Thank
saying.
you.
If you want
Thank
to.
you.
I can't stress that enough, gang.
You can forget the turkey and go get that PlayStation 5. Your family will
Yeah,
come
you
in.
you can also pay $12 and change for a Walmart Plus subscription and you still won't fucking get it, like happened on Monday.
Or 200 for the Best Buy subscription.
Leo, are you still hitting the refresh button?
No, I'm when I get one. But last Sony thing I will bring up before we talk about Hawkeye, and I know Chris, you're gonna bow out for that. I finally saw Venom 2.
Yes.
It's certainly a movie.
I love it.
Okay, all right.
Wonderful, Leo.
Hold minutes, Leo.
Wonderful.
Was it better than the original? Don't you agree?
It was definitely better than the original,
Okay.
and I just absolutely love the Sony spot in the middle of it.
No, hold
Don't
on,
break
wait.
my-
It's better than the original. Okay, so that's like taking a shit, right? But then throwing a bunch of like red glitter and tossing a bow on top of that same turd and saying, "Doesn't it look better?" It's like, well, yeah. I mean,
Well, if you're going to use
it
that
looks better,
analogy,
but I mean, it's still shit, right?
well,
Or we could say that about Batman versus
Hold on.
Superman.
No,
too.
It's like
stop
saying the Bumblebee movie was the best of the recent Transformer films.
Actually,
Like,
it
no
was.
shit.
Actually, yeah. So if you're going to compare shits, so it's more like, and I did enjoy the Venom movie, but I know it definitely had issues. But you could say it's taking a shit after a week of eating meat or after a week of eating Metamucil. It's just
Brandon.
One's
Glitter
easier
always
than
makes
the other,
everything
I
better,
guess.
so that was a bad analogy.
Is it
Was it a
better?
shitty analogy, RW?
Let me
I'm
ask you
definitely
this,
waiting.
Leo.
Was that 2 on the nose? Or is that
I'm definitely waiting for
Morbius?
this. I mean, the Morbius trailer, and then I think we can start Hawkeye. There's a reference? They mention it's kind of like that thing that happened up in San Francisco.
Yep.
And then he does that. After the credit logo comes up, whatever, he goes, "I am Venom." No, I'm just kidding. I feel like that shit that they refilmed recently for the trailer.
Because our other movie takes place in San Francisco. Wink.
well. So also quite possibly that Venom will probably be linked in Spider-Man somehow.
Well, yeah, fucking likely.
Well, gee, I can't imagine why unless you didn't see the movie.
And according to Marvel spoilers, yes, on Reddit, Steven, one of the prominent leakers says there's a after credit scene that will quite possibly piss off a lot of people.
And stay
I
off
don't think
it.
it pissed
Hold
it.
on.
Piss
Piss
me
off a
off.
lot
It
of
was just
people in
kind of
what?
anticipated if you know what Marvel's doing.
Hold on. I'm sorry, Leo. It cut out for me for a second there. What?
Oh, according to Marvel spoilers community, they've one person mentioned that there's going to be a after credit scene that is going to piss off a lot of people.
For No Way Home?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
wonderful.
Yes.
Good.
The smoking hot Aunt May becomes the Herald of Galactus, like she did in that What If story.
Yep.
Listen. I've said it before, and I will say it until the movie comes out. If they somehow just actually never have Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire in this movie, and I will give them 2 thumbs up. Yes, Chris, for real.
Yeah.
But I will also laugh hysterically, probably to the point where I will be asked to leave the cinema because, like, I will listen for the heads of nerds exploding. You know what I mean? Just
Right, but you saw the trailer with Doctor Strange. You're like, I can't hold it back. They're coming through. I'm
yeah,
like,
but
it's gonna
here's the
be
thing: they
Spider-Man.
could quantum leap that shit, right? So if they come into this reality, if they're all Peter Parker, maybe they all look like Tom Holland. But if they were all in the same Raimi reality, maybe they all look like Tobey Maguire. And if they were in the Amazing Spider-Man reality, maybe they all look like Andrew Garfield. You never
Actually,
know. They could do that kind of shit because there's not been a precedent set yet within the Marvel's like multiverse where variants like through and through are going to like be completely opposite. Like you still get the kind of idea, like obviously we have like some of the weird variations of Loki where some of them weren't even really Loki, but like old man Loki in the comic accurate suit, you could very well see that being old Loki in that suit. You know, that's a kid Loki. That's Loki if he turned into a crocodile or alligator or whatever. You know, so there's nothing to say that there would be a completely different person necessarily. So if they do that, now we will actually get confirmation that variants from other realities could be played by somebody absolutely different. Like there's no correlation to the established look of the character as it is. That could be very big.
Yeah.
But if not, I'll fucking laugh with glee in the aisles.
It'd be awesome if like Leopardon just showed up out of nowhere. If you don't know what that is, he's the giant robot Spider-Man controlled in the Japanese television show.
So does that mean we're not going to see a triple emo Peter dance then after an emo Doctor Strange dance? Oh man, I fucking hope not.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see when one fucking Peter danced like that. I don't need to see 3 times that bullshit. Oh, that at that point you have to know that Sam Raimi was like, I don't fucking care about this movie. Like you must understand.
Right, but hey, he's making up for it with doing Doctor Strange, which we haven't heard a peep about
Well,
that.
we fucking hope so.
Yeah. We're gonna see Doctor Strange doing some emo dancing, in the Mountain of Madness.
Yeah. Well, again, the trailer is gonna be. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that's completely not. Yeah.
It's red herrings left and right.
Yeah.
Totally. So, Chris, I know you need to go. We're gonna finish it up with Hawkeye, and then we're gonna wrap things up. So, Chris, where do you like people interacting with you?
Here on the Dorkening Network, on the Sal Buscema era podcast, we cover the Spider-Man books that Sal Buscema drew. We just finished up Drew Mello, who from the Screen Rant. We just finished up Acts of Vengeance, which is the cosmic Spider-Man storyline, and we're about to start a 3-part storyline involving Hobgoblin and Puma and Carry On. So all sorts of cool horror hijinks in that story. And there's another podcast I do, which is on hiatus due to personal reasons, the Hammer Horror podcast, which is a shame because there's a bunch of Hammer news out lately. But that's where you can find me. Or you can pick up my comic book, Vlada, A Dracula Tale, covers by Tim Vigil.
Yeah.
By the way, there's an ad in here for the Dorkening Network and Radio of Horror.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. Speaking of that, do you have we're going to be bringing you on splash pages.
Right. Yeah, that's I forgot about that.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask, do you have a digital version you can share with the guys so we can check it out?
I have the version they could pay for because I have to make. Yes, I do have a digital version.
Okay.
I was going to say, wow, so you can just say no. Jeez.
Yeah. Cordial about it.
Here's your free digital version right here. I have the digital versions of Vlada and the Dracula Tale and Vlada Chronicle of the Damned. Ken Hunt, I will reach out to him once Rich figures out a time slot I can give to Ken and say, hey, you're going to do this podcast because you're my artist.
Yeah, I think it's set for just a regular show, which is 8:00.
Right. I just need to know a date to tell Ken.
Oh, I thought it's next week.
This week coming up. You didn't tell me.
Okay. I'll message Rich.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
right.
Yeah. I'll put it in our group chat.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. We'll let you go. Bye.
See you, Chris. Oh,
nope.
He's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Steve
who?
too.
Oh, bye, Chris. Oh.
Me? Well, now we can talk
I
shit
like
about him since
Steve
he's
is
not
doing
here.
his best impression of Claude Rains in his role as the Invisible Man.
I'm grabbing my charger.
I'm
Steve,
taking a dump.
if you come back wrapped in bandages, dude, I will give you the highest of 5s. Bandages and sunglasses. He won't do it.
Can't hear you.
That's all right. I can't hear me either.
Meanwhile, back at the Hall of Justice.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch.
You're not helping, RW.
Meanwhile, I love that. I love that line every single time. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Aquaman prepares a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I think one of my favorite things from
rambling on about
one of the older cartoons was when Namor jumps into a swimming pool because he's like, I'm dried out. I must swim in water. And he jumps in and he goes, wait a minute. This isn't water. It's I'll go Hall. Like, it's so overly enunciated. It's just mwah.
What,
Can't beat
what
it
I
with
missed?
shit.
What are you guys rambling about?
We're
We
just
were talking.
rambling.
We were talking shit about you.
No.
What a
Nothing to do with
fucking
it.
shock!
No, don't listen to Leo. Don't believe his lies. Well, some of his lies. Those are lies you should not believe.
So I guess we're talking about Hawkeye. Is Alan Alda reprising his role, or is someone else stepping in?
Oh, they got Alan Alda.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, water's hell. What am I supposed to do now, Beej?
So did all of us see both episodes?
Yeah.
Yes. I made sure to watch both episodes before before tonight's episode of this.
Yeah. So
It was
it's the first
The
two
Wire.
episodes are on Disney Plus. If you haven't checked it out, I thought it was amazing. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the show just for continuity's sake. That's why I turned on the first episode, and by the end of the second episode, I was like, "Oh, well, this is actually shaping up to be a pretty fucking good show."
Yeah.
I'm actually very impressed with Jeremy Renner altogether.
Yeah.
Same. I agree with Brandon. I really am enjoying the way it's going with this, and looking forward for more. And I'm glad they gave us 2 instead of 1. So.
Well, they've gotten into the habit of giving like 2 or 3, depending on the length of the episodes.
Yeah.
For the premiere. But honestly, like,
so far.
I'm digging the weekly release that they're doing with this stuff. Honestly, it gives the chance to have a breath in between story beats and to do what we do. Talk about it, speculate, have fun with what the ideas are and where they could be going. When you have it all in one fell swoop, it's actually really easy to miss a lot of detail, and the conversation that you end up having regarding it ends up being very short. It doesn't really go past like a brief exchange, and then it's on to the next topic. And that's just like, I mean, in personal life, not even like on a show like this or anything. That's why water cooler talk was such a big thing for so many years in so many office places. And long before coronavirus hit, the death of that was binge watching, and I think binge watching television can be tricky as an art form as it is, because it's so much hand in hand with commercialization since the dawning of it. But with streaming, you get to the point where it's actually focused on what the project itself is, because there's nothing to sell other than the fact that you are already a member of whatever service it is that's providing you this content.
I will say with their release schedule, I'm talking about it like a different thing that's coming out. Like, could you wait a day to release the Beatles Get Back? Because I'm obviously I'm a music guy and I want to see like each day, but I'm not seeing it tomorrow because family time. So I'm gonna have to catch up with both episodes the following day. So it's just, damn you, Peter Jackson, why are you releasing it on Thanksgiving?
Because he's from New Zealand and he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's not Thanksgiving here, damn it.
Also, a lot of people will end up watching TV after dinner, and a lot of people have dinner early. It's gives us a lot. Like for us, a lot of us will like break away. Into I'll bring like my iPad or something and read some comics or something.
I know I have family that's going to watch football, but I'm going to try and sneak away and watch that Beatles thing. Also, South Park on their Infinite Wisdom is dropping a post-COVID special tomorrow. I'm just like, what?
Right.
They released a pandemic special, a vaccine special, and now a post-COVID special.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like Trey and Matt to me.
So I'm gonna have to wait for that too. I mean, unless I find time to sneak away from my family. Hopefully they're not watching me say that.
I'm gonna look for everybody who has the same last name as you on Facebook.
Don't you fucking dare.
No, right to your profile. Hey, here's a link to the show. You should check it out at minute 133.
So I have to say, Rogers the musical.
Oh my god.
The fuck was that shit?
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome, but it was awful. It was
Yeah.
so
It's
bad.
awful. I mean,
I mean-
it is continuity wise, but then again,
Yeah, no, it was.
when they had a verse with I can do this all day. Oh my god,
Just the whole thing was just a shit show.
it was.
But that's, I mean, that was the point though, because we were supposed to be right there with Clint, like rolling our eyes at what it was we were seeing. You know, as semi omniscient audience members, we know exactly what happened that day, so we can understand how much bullshit it is that's right in front of our faces. Oh God.
It would have been funny if they added a scene about America's ass in there.
I don't know that would have made the general public. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it would have passed Walt's vault. So,
well, no, not just. I mean, Walt's vault. It's. I mean, yeah, that's true. Disney Plus, but even still, like, they show the movie on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that would be a problem. I think it's just more like, how would they know to put that in the musical? Like, there's broad strokes and things that were probably told and said, but I don't think that anybody brought up like America's ass to anybody. You know, that was just for us.
There was a couple lyrics that seemed like
forced.
Not
well,
forced,
shawarma. Like they mentioned going for shawarma afterwards and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's stuff that would have been actually easily documented. Like, oh, after the Avengers did all this stuff in the Battle of New York, they went to this shawarma place down the street, and
that wasn't released to the general public. It was just,
Yeah. Well, like him saying, "I can do this all day." You know, they made that into a lyric, and that's you don't think that'd be documented.
That might be an old school thing that like people knew Captain America said too, because he did say that like during World War II alongside.
You didn't hear him say Hail Hydra.
No, we didn't.
Comic book reference. See, I know one comic book reference, and Chris isn't here.
I mean, I get now the comic book reference you're making. Yikes. Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, that could potentially be like one thing, because he became like a piece of Americana. Like people knew that he existed. So I wouldn't doubt that there were stories about him, what have you. I mean, look at what's his face, Agent Coulson, for crying out loud. He had trading cards.
Yeah.
So just saying, like, there's probably tidbits
right.
that make sense for who the characters are, like things about them, like, just through zeitgeist and word of mouth and stories over the years. But there's certain little things like America's ass that was so recent, and it was so like in a moment, had nothing to do with how they probably would have told the story to anybody after the fact anyway.
Yeah.
That no one's gonna include that in a musical.
I liked how
I'm just saying it would have been funny.
It would have been.
The one thing I liked about this show is how Hawkeye is not superhuman, and after all the shit he's been through the past 20-something movies, he's starting to get deaf. So that's what I like about this, is because he doesn't feel any effects from any super. Captain America can just brush it off. Iron Man can just brush it off. Hawkeye can get effects from it. So.
Well,
it's this is more like the Batman syndrome. Batman's not a superhero; he's a real person, and I think Hawkeye being like a real person, but doing what he can, to battle evil.
They did a great job of establishing it very quickly and very succinctly in the show that he was at the musical, and he took his hearing aid out, so he couldn't really hear it. And it was like, how, why are you going deaf? And he just kind of does quick snippet flashbacks to a bunch of different scenes from all the other movies where he's like right next to explosions and getting blown back and shit. And it comes right back to him. He's like, it could have been any number of things. And it's cool that they established that the way they did.
Yeah.
Because it's been addressing stuff very quickly and very well. But it is interesting to note, in the comics, he is deaf. And he can also speak in American Sign Language, which we saw a little bit of with his youngest son when his son started speaking to him.
Yep.
But I don't know if they.
I think that's going to tie back because there's also another character they introduced as Death.
Yes. And I was gonna get to that, but I was gonna say Hawkeye, I believe I don't know if they retconned it. They had to have done something to kind of update it, but he was deaf like for a very long time in the comic books. Like, pretty much most of the time he's been a hero, because it's important to remember that Hawkeye started off as a villain. He was initially a villain who reformed and became a hero and was able to join the Avengers. But somebody was trying to like they were taking over the Avengers' minds or something like that. It had it had something to do with sound waves, and Hawkeye figured it out, and he took 2 of his sonic arrows and shoved each one of them in one of his ears and blew his friggin' eardrums out completely.
Oh, wow.
So it couldn't affect him, and he just he did that. He got his bearings back from Vertigo, and then he just started pulling arrows from his quiver and fucking shit up left and right. But he's been deaf like ever since. So it's well established that's part of who the character is. And now with the end of episode 2, the tease is we are about to be introduced to Echo. Who
That's who it was, because I was trying to figure out who that was. That explains her own show.
Yeah, she is deaf and has oh my god, photographic reflexes. She can copy any physical move that she sees perfectly. She taught herself how to fight by watching primarily like Bruce Lee movies. She watches fighters whose own physicalities match her own, because she can copy a feat that she sees, but only within like how physics and her own like weight would allow her to. So like it wouldn't make much sense for her to watch a bunch of like big muscly dudes wrestling and throwing each other around, because she couldn't do that.
See, it makes sense that you said Echo, because I didn't think it was Echo, because I was thinking it was one of the Red Room girls from Black Widow that probably got affected.
Well,
affected by the explosion at the end.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They clue you in to the fact that it's Echo because she's in a room where the speakers are blaring with the bass pumped way, way up. So it's just vibrating and humming. And that's very important for the character of Echo, because she is also completely deaf. And it's interesting to note that within the comics, we haven't seen it in the show so far, but people are often surprised that she's deaf, because she speaks absolutely perfectly, like she had been hearing her entire life and never mispronounces words or anything. But it also comes down to the fact that it's part of her complete physical my god, I keep photographic reflexes. I always do that with that phrase. It fucks me up every time. Her photographic reflexes, she does that with speaking as well. She completely mimics how somebody moves their mouth when they speak to her. And she actually debuted in Daredevil comics. She started dating him while also as Echo. Her real name is Maya Lopez. And she was dating Matt Murdock, and then as Echo was trying to hunt down Daredevil. It was actually a really good story arc. It's just a few issues long, like maybe 5 or 6 issues. Worth checking out if you get the chance. I think Brian Michael Bendis wrote it.
For the next splash pages, we're doing Matt Fraction's Hawkeye.
Oh, yep. I from what I understand, there's quite a lot from that's involved with how this show is done.
Yeah, I think that's why they picked it.
Makes sense. Look at them tying it in.
I know. Rich has been doing a great job picking the books for that.
Nice.
So yeah, first 2 episodes were great, and definitely I love it that it has like a Christmas feel.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I read an article that it was the director chose a bunch, like obviously chose Die Hard as like a inspiration for the Christmas theme, and obviously different. But that once he said Die Hard, I was like, I'm in.
Well, I think it's very smart too, considering Hawkeye is known to be a family man, particularly since Mark Miller wrote him in the Ultimates in the early aughts. So that's become a large part. It's been woven directly into who the character of Clint Barton is. So we know his family, his wife and kids are important to him. And what better way to show a family like together and being close than during the holidays, And that was a smart move, I think, to show them all having such a fun time to get them to New York. That's the reason they're there doing Christmassy stuff. And then he has to send the kids home because this shit starts going down while he's there. I think that was very smart because it checks off a lot of boxes without seeming like contrived.
Yeah.
Well, I think was any other words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes of that, did everybody? I don't think everybody saw it, right?
I watched it. It was dinosaurs, guys. If you're like, hey, if you're into dinosaurs, this is gonna really blow your fucking hair back, man. Wow.
They added feathers to the T-Rex.
Yeah, and they had feathers on that little lizard dinosaur thing fucking eating at the egg. I was like, oh, it's like a prehistoric chicken. Cool.
But what
I'm still not gonna go fucking see it. I don't.
What I was alluding to is the marketing strategy by Universal, because what Universal did was, they released this months ago and attached it to Fast 9, or I like to call it, how many fucking sequels can they do the Fast franchise? Neither here nor there. Thank you, RW, for the
Fast 10, Fast Furious, Tokyo Drift 3.
But yeah, they added the thing we were just talking about, to Fast 9, but then released it just last week because people didn't want to see Fast 9, and who doesn't? And we're like, yeah.
I've never seen a single Fast and the Furious movie.
Good choice.
I'm happy with my choices. Like every single one of those movies has come out. I've witnessed the marketing for all of them, and each time I just kept on living my life. And I was fine.
They all suck.
I think I saw the first one and then was like, yeah, no, I'm good. But I'm waiting until, Fast and the Furious 117.
Listen, there's some people who like live and die by that.
I know.
By all means, like if you enjoy those movies, that's awesome. Seriously, like for me, not so much. Like I don't care, and that's why I've never watched them. So I have no comment on them.
Yeah.
I can't say anything about how any of those movies are because I've not seen a lick of it, and I don't care to. That's my choice. Yeah. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I just don't. I couldn't be bothered. But if you love them, that is fucking great. And I hope that they make these movies for as long as you're willing to shell out money to go see them.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking generally, to everybody out there, to all of our viewer.
So Dominion looks it's I like the last movie. It was good, but this year dinosaurs are now in the populace, so we'll see how that goes. But the first 5 minutes of the movie have been released. If you missed it, definitely check it out. There we go.
Well, that's the game.
We'll wrap things up. I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. Definitely check the show notes to follow everybody up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. I'm Leo. Just Google me. You'll find me. But I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. A lot of awesome people doing a lot of awesome stuff, including RW.
How you doing? Hey, everybody. Have a great day with your families tomorrow. Happy Thanksgiving. You can find me here at officialrwmartin.com. Links to all social media, the book that I wrote that's available on Amazon, and a link to my comic book, Bizbick Hines, Agent 57. So, yeah, if you want to know anything, then go there, and there's links to everything that you need to know. Again, happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and thanks for having me here again tonight.
Always. Steven.
You can follow Super Retro Throwback Reviews on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out our Patreon. So much content this week alone. A bonus episode on our live show from Retro World Expo that if you missed it, you can hear it. And we made a big announcement, which we will reveal to everyone else in December. But if you want to hear it first, become a backer now. We have a store. The links are above and below of the store, the URLs there. If you use the code RetroXmas, you'll get 50% off your order, and it's up until Christmas. So you have plenty of time, or you want to wait till the crisis is over. It's up to you. But yeah, and I'm here every Wednesday. So happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Are you sure I put the links?
Jesus, Mary Joseph and all those talking to friends. My God, Leo. Unbelievable. Hi everyone. I'm Powerful Brandon. You can join me over at the Powers Combined Facebook group. Just a group for geeks where we share memes and info, all that fun stuff. You can also follow me on Twitter at Brandon's Powers and on Instagram at this Brandon Has Powers. Otherwise, you can see me here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Wednesday night Dorkening podcast.
Awesome. And yes, Steven, I did put the links. I'm just fucking with you.
No,
I checked.
you get right out of town with that.
Oh, we'll catch you guys later.
Well, I never. Bye, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Turkey Day. Go, go, go.
Double.
Turkey drop.